History, definition and scope of pharmacognosy. I am Vasundhara Saxena here with this topic, and we will discuss this topic in detail. So, meaning of pharmacognosy, it was C.A. Sidler who is responsible to develop this definition. So, let us see it in detail. Pharmacognosy, known initially as materia medica, may be defined as the study of crude drugs obtained from plants, animals and mineral kingdom and their constituents. There is a historical misinformation about who created the term pharmacognosy. According to some sources, it was C.A. Sidler, and according to some sources, it was physician J. N. Smith. But we have to learn both. So, according to some sources, it was C.A. Sidler, a medical student at Halle, Germany in 1815. He wrote his doctoral thesis titled Analecta Pharmacognostica. However, recent historical research was found on earlier usage of this term, and physician J. A. Smith of Vienna used that one in his Leberch der Materia Medica in 1811 to describe the study of medicinal plants and their properties. So, if we talk about in general, in 1811 it was J. A. Smith, and in 1815 it was C. A. Sidler who for the first time used this word in their doctoral thesis. Analecta Pharmacognostica was the thesis of C. A. Sidler, and Leberch der Materia Medica was of J. Smith. So, what is the definition? The word pharmacognosy is derived from two Latin words, pharmakon, a drug, and gignoso, to acquire knowledge of. That is, it means knowledge or science of drugs. So, basically the definition would be the word pharmacognosy is derived from two Latin words, pharmakon, a drug, and gignoso, to acquire knowledge of. It means knowledge or science of drugs. So, with this we will complete our definition, and if we talk about writing in your exams, you have to write the three above point as a introduction point, and then final definition is given in the last point. Coming to the history of pharmacognosy, we will be dealing with history according to the area or the region, because at the same time some developments were in India, at the same time some developments were in China, Egypt, etc. So, we will be dealing it with region wise, but in notes you will get a separate points. So let us discuss about China first. In ancient China, it was the Emperor Shen Nag who wrote Pentisao, in which he inscribed 365 drugs, one of each day, and maximum he tested on himself. So, let us see it in detail. Chinese pharmacy, according to legend, stems from Shen Nag, emperor who sought out and investigated the medicinal value of several hundred herbs. He reputed to have tested many of them on himself and to have written the first Pentisao or native herbal recordings, 365 drugs per day of a year. Coming to the ancient Egypt, it was Ebers Papyrus, the emperor who wrote, who scribbled on a wooden plank about 700 drugs. So, before, if we talk about in history that how do the literature passed on to the current people, they writed the information, the knowledge on some wooden planks, or we can say they scribbled on some walls and all, then through that which remained there, we came to the knowledge or the information about the history. So, let us see the most complete medical document existing, because in China what was that? It was the doctoral, that was in about 18th century, but if we talk about ancient Egypt, it was before that. So, ancient Egypt is before Chinese information about Chinese में कौन emperor था? Shen Nag, and Egypt में Ebers Papyrus. So, if we talk about Ebers Papyrus, in 1550 BC, a collection of 800 prescription mentioning 700 drugs, and Edwin Smith Papyrus 1600 BC for which containing surgical instructions and formulas for cosmetics. The Corn Medical Papyrus is the oldest, it comes from 1900 BC and deals with the length of women, including breathing instructions. So you can see here the image of the fragment of Ebers papyrus on which he scribbled about 700 drugs. That was about the history from ancient Egypt, which was earlier than Chinese one. So now coming to the next, that is India, that is ancient India. In Indian, knowledge of medicinal plant is very old, and medicinal property of the plants are prescribed in Rig Veda and Atharvaveda, and we are talking about before ancient Egypt. Now that you can see that is 3500 to 1500 BC, and as we all know, India is a rich heritage in history, and Vedas are the most important knowledge books that we refer for our history. So according to this, Rig Veda and Atharvaveda, from which the Ayurveda has developed. The basic medicinal text in this world region, the Ayurvedic writings, can be divided in three main ones, that is Charak Shamhita, Shushrita Shamhita, Ashtang Hridyan Shamhita, and the three minor ones, that is Shangardha Shamhita, Bhav Pariksh Shamhita, Madhva Nindam Samhita. These are the subparts of your Ayurvedic Vedas in which important information about health and human life is given. Ayurveda is the term for the traditional medicine of ancient India, and Ayur means life and Vedas means the knowledge of, the study of which is the form of origin of the term. Now according to ancient Greece and Rome, Greek scientists contributed much to the knowledge of natural history. Hippocrates is referred to as father of medicine and is remembered for his famous oath, which is even now administered to doctors. Aristotle, a student of Plato, who was philosopher and is known for his writing on animal kingdom, which is considered authoritative even in 20th century. Theophrastus, a student of Aristotle, wrote about plant kingdom. So here are some major contributions from these scientists and their region, or you can year that you have to remember, that is Aristotle and Plato. So you can see the relationship of a teacher and a student, how strong it was between those early days, that is Aristotle and Plato. So coming to the third topic of this presentation, that is scope of pharmacognosy. We all have seen the definition, we all have seen the history, that how does it developed and how does the information from earlier ancient times has been passed on to the current generation. So now coming to the scope of pharmacognosy, that why it is important and where we can apply this knowledge also. Crude drugs of natural origin, that is obtained from plants and animals and mineral sources, and their active chemical constituents are the core subject matter of pharmacognosy. So here I would like to give you some example, that we all take tulsi leaves, or you can say ginger, in your tea decoction to have more tasteful, or you can say beneficial tea to drink. So what is it that we are using those drugs. Tulsi is also a drug, ginger is also a drug, and we are using both of them in our tea decoction to have its beneficial properties to cure the sore throat or coughing problem. So here is the example of our knowledge of pharmacognosy. How important is tulsi, or how important it is ginger. So we will be studying this in detail by going through many drugs. They are also used for treatment of various diseases beside being used in cosmetic, textile and food industry. During the first half of the 19th century, apothecaries stocked the crude drugs for the preparation of herbal tea mixtures, all kinds of tinctures, extracts and juices, which in turn were employed in preparing medicinal drops, syrups, infusions, ointments and liniments. But in the second half of the 19th century brought with it a number of important discoveries in a newly developed field of chemistry, and witnessed the rapid progress of this science. Lastly, the crude drug and the products are of economical importance and profitable commercial product. When these were collected from wild sources, the amount collected could be small and the price commanded were exorbitantly high. That is, after the 19th century, medicinal cultivation, or you can say खेती जो हम कहते हैं ना, agriculture के नाम पे it was like the fruit crops that we have. But nowadays what has been the cultivation of medicinal plant, that is खेती किसकी करना, medicinal plants की खेती करना, that is also important for us nowadays. Everyone has seen that अगर कहीं उग रहा है तो वो कहीं कम अमाउंट में है, या अगर वो पहाड़ों की ड्रग है तो हमें वहाँ ढूंढने जाना पड़ता है. लेकिन अगर कोई हमारी नॉर्मल ड्रग है जो एक हमें एक प्लांट में मिली है और वो हमें बहुत कम अमाउंट में मिल रही है, देन व्हाई नॉट टू कल्टिवेट ऑन अ लार्ज स्केल टू प्रोड्यूस अ लार्ज क्वांटिटी. सो दिस इज द पॉइंट, टू रिड्यूस द प्राइस and to have large yield, we have started medicinal plant cultivation. All this has now changed. Many of the industrial important species which produce equally large economic profits are cultivated for the large scale crop production. Drug plants, standardized extracts and the therapeutically active pure constituents have become a significant market commodity in the international trade. So then now we started with trading, that is trading, or you can say import export of raw material. So many of you have heard that India is a larger supplier of raw material to other states, as we are not technically so sound yet. So we are producing raw material in large quantities and exporting it to the developed countries to be processed. In the light from these glorious facts, scope of pharmacognosy seems to be enormous in the field of medicine, bulk drugs, fluid supplements, pharmaceutical necessities, pesticides, dyes, tissues culture, biotechnology, engineering and so on. So you can see how and in which many fields we are using the knowledge of pharmacognosy. So this was the about scope of pharmacognosy, and for scope for doctoral graduates in pharmacognosy is going to increase in coming years. The pharmacognost would serve in various aspects as follows. Academics, if we talk about academics, teaching in our colleges, as I am an example over here, universities, museums and botanical gardens. Private industry, if we talk about private industry, we have pharmaceutical companies, consumer products testing laboratories and private commercial testing laboratories. The herbal product industries, the cosmetics and perfume industries, etc., where we can also apply for jobs. And if we talk about government, placement in federal agencies such as Drug Enforcement Agency, the Food and Drug Administration, the US Department of Agriculture, medicinal plant research laboratories, state agencies like forensic laboratories, environmental laboratories, etc. So these are some of the government authorities under which we can be used as pharmacognost. Undoubtedly, the plant kingdom still holds a large number of species with medicinal value which have yet to be discovered. Lots of plants were screened for the pharmacological values like hypoglycemic, hepatoprotective, hypotensic, anti-inflammatory, anti-fertility, etc. Pharmacognostic with a multidisciplinary background are able to make valuable contribution in the field of phytomedicine. So you can see how the word phytomedicine develops, that is plants using in the form of medicine, phytomedicine. Here is something beyond your syllabus, so we will look to it. Future of pharmacognosy. Medicinal plants are of great value in the field of treatment and cure of diseases. Over the years, scientific research has expanded our knowledge of the chemical effects and composition of the active constituents which determine the medicinal property of the plants. It has now been universally accepted fact that plant drugs and remedies are far safer than the synthetic medicine for curing the complex disease like cancer and AIDS. Enormous number of alkaloids, glycosides and antibiotics have been isolated, identified and used as curative agents. If we talk about pharmacognostical scheme, that if we learn about a particular plant and how it is to be learned. That is, first the biological source, geographical source, cultivation, collection, preparation, morphological characters, that how does it have to be seen, microscopical characters, how can we see it under the microscope, chemical constituents, what are the main or major important constituents, phytochemistry you can say, what is present in the plant material, use, substituents, adulterants and chemical test, identification test. So, these are the pharmacognostical scheme, that if we talk about tulsi, then we have to study these points for tulsi, that is biological source क्या है उसका geographical source क्या है, उसका cultivation, collection, preparation कैसे होनी चाहिए, कब होनी चाहिए, क्योंकि देखो क्या होता है कि every drug has some constituents and if we see for example tulsi, यूजिनॉल उसमें मेजर क्वांटिटी में होता है, बट वो मेजर क्वांटिटी कब होता है, एट इनिशियल स्टेज और व्हेन द लीफ टर्न्स येलो और व्हेन द लीव्स आर फुल्ली मैच्योर्ड. सो इट इज द स्टडी ऑफ बाय द फार्माकोग्नोस्ट who will tell you that the correct collection or time of the drug is. So here is the importance of pharmacognosy and its use in our medicinal terminology, or you can say the system of medicine. So this is all about for this topic. Thank you students. I will be soon back with some new topics. Thank you.